Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commanders Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So, spoiler season has started. Wait, what's that? It hasn't. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, spoiler season doesn't start until January 17th for Phyrexia All Will Be One. But these leaks keep happening. And I'm starting to think that it might be intentional. And I'll talk about exactly why in this episode. I'll talk about the leaked card, and it's just kind of getting pretty strange because this card apparently was found in someone's secret lair recently. So it's just like either a really, really bad quality control issue, QC issue, essentially, where it's like, yeah, okay, we got these cards over here printing for this, these cards over here printing for that, and then, oh no, they ended up together. Or Wizards is like, you know what? There aren't enough, spoilers out right now. There needs to be more excitement, more hype for this set. We cannot wait until January 17th. Keep it coming. So yeah, it's getting kind of weird. So we'll talk about another example here at the end of this episode, but let's get in the card first. So Green Sun's Twilight. I believe we've already seen the Blue Sun's Twilight, which of course has Jin-Gitaxias on it. This one of course features Vorinclex. And I made a custom version of the card just to make it easier to see. But again, yeah, that image that we saw apparently again was just someone who took a picture of it after they got it in their secret lair. And they're like, this isn't supposed to be here. But yeah, it definitely looks very legitimate. And again, this is going to be part of a 5-card cycle. Again, I will say take it with a grain of salt because this has not been confirmed to be an actual spoiler. Wizards has not been like, yeah, we accidentally included that in that secret lair. That was us. So just take it with a grain of salt. Anyways, Green Sun's Twilight, a sorcery for X and a green. Reveal the top X+1 cards of your library. Choose a creature card and or a land card from among them. Put those cards in your hand, the rest of them on your library in random order. If X is 5 or more, instead put the chosen cards on the battlefield or into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So yeah, a pretty impactful X spell. Definitely, again, these callbacks to the Zenith cards, right? In the original Mirrodin, Green Sun Zenith, pretty powerful. Green Sun's Twilight, also pretty powerful. This one, yeah, I mean, obviously you can get some value if you're putting less than 5 into that X, and maybe earlier on in the game you might need to do that to hit a creature or a land more likely. But yeah, you get both of them essentially. If you hit one of each, kind, essentially you are getting 2 cards. So this technically really could be, put 1 into that X, and then you're going to reveal the top 2 cards of your library, because again, it's X+1, and you could get 2 cards off the top in your hand. So this could be a 2-mana draw 2 in the right scenario. Now, obviously, you could whiff as well. But yeah, the real potential for this card obviously happens once you put 5 or more into that X. And the potential that it has can be pretty game-ending because, yeah, you are getting a land off the top into play, which is lovely. I mean, you're not going to just pay 6 mana for that, essentially, right? But, so yeah, you ramp 1. Great. Keep in mind that does come into play untapped, as long as the land does come into play untapped. Of course, there's some powerful lands you can get, but obviously, more importantly, you can hit some massive creatures off the top, get them directly, get it one creature, it's not multiple, get it directly into play. And yeah, that is just a ton of value. And of course, there are some really heavy hitters you can get. There are some really big, exciting plays that you can make. And of course, there are certain ways to maybe either, know what you might be hitting or guarantee that you're going to hit something. We'll talk about those here in a bit. But yeah, a big splashy X spell that I'm sure a good amount of decks out there are going to want to utilize again, especially if you have those big bomb creatures in your deck. Yeah, you would love to hit those and, get one of them into play and just have a game-changing play with that. So yeah, this can be good, value earlier on the game if you need to utilize it again to, grab a land or, grab a land and a creature or, just a creature, depending on what's on top. But yeah, essentially either having, hit your land drops or making sure that you keep your hand full. But yeah, later in the game, it can definitely be a game-ending play. So yeah, I think this card has a good amount of potential. And again, I will just reiterate, take everything I say with a grain of salt because yeah, it might not be an actual card. It looks like an actual card. It seems like an actual card. In my opinion, it's probably an actual card. You never know. Anyways, now, knowing what there is on top, again, like I mentioned, can be a very important thing for this card, or, a very beneficial thing, I should say. So yeah, something like Vizier of the Menagerie, which is already going to be in a creature-heavy deck, You look at the top card of your library, you may cast the top card of your library, it's a creature card, you may spend mana as though or mana of any type to cast creature spells. Cool. All great things, but yeah, knowing what's on top of your library, if you're like, oh yeah, this giant creature's on top, I'll put 5 into that X to ensure that I can get that, well, and a land most likely, but yeah, get that directly into play. So instead of actually having to pay for the creature, you know, again, if it's a 10 mana creature, sure, you're saving some mana on it there, and yeah, being able to just kind of cheat it into play. And of course, outside of Azir Menagerie, there's also other ways to, know what's on top of your library, like a future sight. Some, actually reveal so your opponents can see what's on top, a future sight. This one, you just get to check on your own, which is great. Either way, yeah, again, can be a very beneficial thing. Knowledge is power. Knowing what's on top of your library can definitely help with a card like this. But also just placing cards on top can obviously be very beneficial as well. Perhaps even more beneficial, again, because you can select what you want to be on top. So yeah, if you've got a Brainstorm and you have a massive creature in your hand, just cast your Brainstorm. Draw 3, put 2 from your hand on top of your library in any order. Cool, let's put, our massive creature on top of our library and then utilize our brand new green Sun Twilight to get it directly into play. Also, yeah, this is definitely going to be a setup play as well. Worldly Tutor. Search library for a creature card, reveal it, shuffle your library, put it on top of it. Do so, and then cast it. So again, this is basically like, okay, this plus our new card is like 7 mana in total, right? Green, green, and 5 for that X. Basically just go get whatever creature you want from your deck, get it into play, and probably a land off the top of your library as well. So yeah, definitely a good combination. And again, in some circumstances, a game-ending combination. So yeah, with that, let's talk about some potential massive creatures that you're going to be hitting with this, or could be hitting with this, that can definitely have those game-ending plays. First one, Great Hope Behemoth. Yeah, I mean, obviously you need to be in green. You are in green, obviously, because you have access to Green Sun's Twilight as well. So, yeah, there you go. A 5/5 beast with haste that says, enters the battlefield. Creatures you control gain trim will get +X until end of turn X the number of creatures you control. Yeah, a great finisher, and one that you'd be very happy to hit off the top of your library with this card. Getting into play, getting that ETB. Great. Blightsteel Colossus. Yep. 11/11, trample infect, indestructible. And if you put your Graver anywhere, you shuffle it. But yeah, if you hit this off the top, again, if you're just paying 5 into that X, you are saving, 6 mana essentially just by getting this into play. Plus, you're probably getting a land too. Yeah, this is a game-ending creature. Just one hit from this on an opponent. Yeah, I mean, I guess if they don't, block enough, they're going to be taken out. So yeah, that can be a game-ending play as well. Now, I don't believe, and I will double-check really quick right now, I don't believe Green Sun's Twilight gives the creature haste or anything like that. No, it doesn't. So yeah, I mean, obviously, if you've got another way to give your creature haste, great. Then you can finish your opponents off with a Blightsteel, but yeah, still a great card. Ulamog the Infinite Gyre. Now, keep in mind, this one does say, when you cast a spell, destroy target permanent, you are not casting the creature that you are getting for free into play with Green Sun's Twilight. You're just putting it onto the battlefield, so you do not get cast triggers. Now, that being said, I still think you're going to be pretty happy hitting this off the top because, yeah, it's a 10/10 indestructible with Annihilator 4. So, yeah, your opponents are going to be in a lot of trouble, even though you don't get to destroy a permanent. So, yeah, a slight miss with that, but, yeah, an absolute game-ending creature that can just annihilate your opponents. So, yeah, there are definitely some massive things that you can hit. There are definitely decks out there that love their big, massive creatures. And yeah, you can do some really, really cool plays with this. Now, when it comes to some commanders that might want to consider this card, let's just talk about a few. The first one that came to my mind is actually a pretty new commander with Magus Lucia Kane, a 1/1. Actually, I didn't realize Magus Lucia Kane was a 1/1. I forgot that, I guess. Anyways, a very tiny commander. At the beginning of combat your turn, you get a creature, a counter on target creature you control, or on target creature. And then Psychic Stimulus, tap, add, colorless. When you next cast a spell with X and its mana cost, or activate an ability with X and its activation cost this turn, copy that spell or ability, which choose targets for the copy. Yeah, Magus loves all of the, X spells, essentially. X spell tribal is how most players will build it. And yeah, doubling up on your Green Sun's Twilight can be incredibly impactful to hit, multiple creatures essentially off the top of your library, get them into play, get multiple lands. It's going to be a lot of value for you. Next up, another commander that loves X spells and might want to consider this one as well is XR the Exemplary. A 2/3 Death Touch, tap, add 2 mana of any one color. Whenever you cast a spell with X and its mana cost, create a 0/0 green Hydra creature token, then put X counters on it. Now, I will mention kind of with these X spell commanders, depends, if you only have creatures in your deck that are just X spells, and there are a good amount of Hydras, obviously, that are X spell creatures, then yeah, hitting those creatures off the top probably really won't benefit you all that much because you can't put any mana into that X, obviously, when you're just cheating one of those creatures into play, essentially. So, yeah, as long as your deck has a combination of, maybe creatures that have, that X in their cost and other ones that don't, and there are plenty of Hydras that don't, then yeah, this card can be great in these kinds of decks. So just something to keep in mind. Also, a big mana commander like a Krufix God of Horizons can really utilize a card like this, probably to its fullest potential, really. A 4/7 God with Indestructible. It's not a creature unless you have, 7 Devotion, that's fine. You have no maximum hand size, which is great. And then also, if unused mana would empty from your mana pool, then mana becomes colorless instead. So basically, this is just a mana bank, essentially, as a commander. You basically are just banking mana every single turn, making a ton of colorless mana, and then you just dump it into a giant spell. So yeah, you literally could probably put enough mana into your Green Sun's Twilight if you really wanted to basically search your entire library for a creature to get directly into play. I mean, maybe if you've got, a finisher like a Crit Hoop Behemoth, yeah, that'd be worth just being like, oh, okay, I've got a great board state, I've got all this mana, and I really need a finisher, so just dump it all, and then, yeah, win from there. So yeah, Krufix could definitely consider this card. One final one that I will bring up is Belby, Corrupted Observer. Another commander that can add a ton of mana very quickly to your mana pool. A 2/2 zombie elf. At the beginning of each player's post-combat main phase, the player adds colors for each of your opponents who lost life this turn. I mean, Belby already loves big creatures, especially big creatures that are, essentially colorless, because, yeah, being able to just, dump a ton of colorless mana, after you hit your opponents, essentially, right? I mean, like, by, turn 3, you realistically could just have 8, 9 mana, basically. So yeah, just dumping a giant creature on the board. But yeah, I mean, with that, of course, being able to just, dump that amount of mana in already, you can Green Sun's Twilight very early, hit something massive off the top, and just, you're off to the races. I mean, yeah, a turn 3, Blightsteel Colossus could be in the cards, and your opponents could be very, very, very gone with that. So yeah, definitely another consideration for Belby. But yeah, I think this card is pretty exciting. Again, it's just like, it's doing something that we have seen before in some ways, but also just a new iteration, something that is pretty interesting. Again, being able to dump a good amount of mana into that, again, late game for a huge play, again, early game, very flexible, could be, again, something that can help keep you going, get a creature off the top, not necessarily just in a play, but in your hand, get, a land, so you don't miss a land drop. But yeah, those late game plays that you can have with it can be quite fantastic. One more thing before we do go, I did mention, again, when it comes to my thoughts on these leaks, and some of them kind of seem intentional. Again, it seems like Wizards just can't help themselves when it comes to oh, okay, well, we just had a spoiler season end. We don't have another spoiler season for a month. Okay, so we did this first look thing, and we need people to keep talking about Phyrexia. So, what can we do to get these spoilers out there? And this is okay, I'll just put one in a secret lair. Okay, I mean, I don't know how else that really happens, except for a really big quality control issue. And then also, I will say a warning on this: if you don't want any story spoilers, you might want to end the episode right now, because there is going to be a story spoiler coming up in probably about 10 seconds when I start talking about it. But yeah, basically, there's other leaks that happened recently, and it kind of happened in a weird way too, where, and here we go for spoiler. If you want to leave, but if not, right here. Okay, anyways, recently there was a leak as well. I think I talked about it last week. On the left, you see an image that is the leaked image, and that is, 3 of the Planeswalkers that have been completed. They're actual cards in the set. Again, I will say, take it with a grain of salt, because it's not been officially confirmed. But yeah, that image showed up, and the exact same hand, it appears, the exact same, nail polish showed up, on Weekly MTG when they were showing off those same, oil, foil, whatever they call them, cards, essentially. So yeah, I mean, there is some credence to this. It does seem like it is legitimate, and it's like, where in the world did this image come from? I mean, it seems like a WotC taken image, right? Because, one of them showed up on Weekly MTG, so yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible that this is completely faked, but it looks very legitimate, and again, it does kind of seem intentional in a way, oh no, what happened to that one image we took that we didn't show in the stream? We chose not to show it, and it just happened to show up, on the internet. I don't know how. It's some of this stuff just, I'm not saying Wizards is doing it. I'm just saying that it, you kind of need to, just, again, take things with a grain of salt, but also maybe this is what Wizards is doing. I don't know. They just can't help themselves, it seems, sometimes. So yeah, again, Green Sun's Twilight seems like a very interesting and exciting card if it is real. Yeah, I think there's a good amount of decks out there that could definitely consider it. You know, X-Spell decks, big mana decks, there's definitely some very powerful plays. So yeah, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on it, though. Do you think it's a real card? Do you think Wizards is intentionally, leaking certain things? So yeah, let me know in the comments below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.